When I was 16 years old, I was in my first adult competition, and I was very scared. Not only were the women taller and bigger than me, but I was also shorter than I am now. I know it's shocking, but I was. My fear at first was ridiculous because I beat 3 girls, and then I got to the round that was to determine who would fight for gold, the person for gold. And it was this very scary looking girl. She had like this mohawk that went up and to the sides, and she just like, when she went back and she was like, ah! And I was like, oh! I was so scared. And I was right to be scared because one of the first things she did was she hit me right here. I went flying backwards and passed out. Well, when I woke up, I was in a lot of pain, but because I was able to get up, she got points instead of being eliminated for excessive contact. So I had to continue sparring and try to beat her. Well, I must have been fueled by my anger because I did beat her, and then I beat her friend, who was also at her studio, and I got a gold medal. And that was one of my first gold medals that I was actually incredibly proud of. So today, I'm going to talk to you about the different aspects of Taekwondo competition. And I think you're really going to enjoy it because Taekwondo is not only fun to do, but it's really fun to watch. It's not one of those sports where you're just kind of waiting to see what happens next. No, there's action at all times. I'm going to start with talking about Korean competition, and then I'm going to go into United States competition, and then I'm going to end with a combination of both in Olympic competition. Now, this information I got from Ronald A. Southwick, who is actually a member of the USA Taekwondo team, and he's given some history on Taekwondo from when it originated. There were originally 3 kingdoms in Korea. The names are really hard to pronounce, so I'm not going to attempt it, but these are the 3 kingdoms and how they're separated. They originally started using Taekwondo for military purposes, and it actually wasn't called Taekwondo, it was called Taehyun. That was what it was called. So it wasn't until after the Japanese takeover and that all ended that Taekwondo actually became more of a sport and was used in competitions. In the Haedongjuk-ji text, which is from the Joseon dynasty, which is between the times of 1392 and 1910, which was considered actually a time of peace in Korea, they give a great definition of Taekwondo. And I quote, "There is something called gaksul," which was the original name of Taekwondo, in the old ways, where 2 opponents face each other and place kicks in order to fell the other. There are 3 levels to this. The least skilled man goes for the legs, and a good man kicks the shoulders. The best man can kick as high as the head. Our ancestors used this in order to gain revenge and even to win a woman through bet. So that is the history of Korean competition. Now I'm going to give you some information on what you wear and the scoring system, because it's a little different than the United States and Olympic. This is the uniform that they wear. They wear a chest guard, which actually isn't used in the United States one. They wear shin guards, and they wear a head guard, but their hands and feet are uncovered. In the scoring system, the harder you hit, the best it is. If you do not hit hard, you will not get a point. If you knock somebody over, you actually get 2 points. And to subtract points and negative things, if you grab the person and you show cowardice, those are bad things. Alright, so now on to United States competition. I'm going to give you a little information on the history of where that started. After the Japanese takeover and Taekwondo became a competition, they added it to the United States, and there are a bunch of different organizations, but the one that I'm involved in is called the ITA, which is the International Taekwondo Alliance. And the art of Hoon Taekwondo gives us some history. Grandmaster Wong Kuk Lee, who is part of Changdu Kwan, which is a type of Taekwondo, was the person that founded the first studio that was modern in the United States. And he was actually from, this is him right here, and he was the founder of the ITA. And the next part. The rules and protocol actually are incredibly different in Korean than it is in the United States. I think because we have to be a little bit more careful on what we let our children do. The point system goes 2 points, kick to the head, everywhere else is 1 point, and if you knock someone down, you're disqualified. It's not good to knock somebody out. And I'm actually going to demonstrate for you. There's another part of competition that isn't in Korean, and that's the form. And I'm going to show you a brief part of the second degree level 4 black belt because it is my favorite. So don't make fun of me, please. Hey! That is part of the second degree level 4 black belt form. And there's a competition that you're graded on your artisticness and your accuracy when it comes to forms. So the last part I'm going to talk about is the Olympic. And this is a picture of one of the games, the Olympic Games, where Korea, I believe it's Korea against the United States. And as you can see, Korea is obviously winning. So the history of the Olympic, actually, the United States didn't join for an incredibly long time, and the only organization that participates in the Olympics in the United States is the WTF, the World Taekwondo Federation. And that didn't happen until 1973, and the first time that Taekwondo was actually accepted into the Olympics wasn't until the Sydney Games in 2000. So I have a picture here of how intense Taekwondo is. This guy is named Angel Matos, and he's from Cuba. And he was upset about a scoring system the ref gave him, and he kicked him in the face. He's actually been banned from the sport altogether, along with his coach. So I thought that was interesting to show you guys of how intense it is. It really is. This happened in Beijing in 2008. So, and then since 2012, and this information was provided by the actual Olympic website, the U.S. only won 2 medals, and now they were both bronze, one in men's 58 to 68 kg, and then women's 57 to 68 kg. And then as a comparison, I have the Koreans, who also only won 2, but they won first and second. So as you can see, the Korean teams are a lot better than the United States, but only because they originated it. It's their sport. They started with it. So, as you can see, today I have introduced to you the different aspects of Taekwondo competition, starting with Korean competition, and then United States competition, and Olympic competition. So, you can see that Taekwondo is not only entertaining to watch, but easy to understand and learn. And now that you know the rules and regulations, maybe you yourself can participate in it because it is lots of fun, or you can even watch the next Olympics and cheer on the United States team. Thank you.
So Chang, what did you think?
I thought it was pretty good. I liked how she started off her presentation with her story about how she got knocked out, and then how she won her gold medal afterwards. And then I liked how she cited her sources. And also I really liked how she explained the difference of Taekwondo, like how it developed in Korea and in the United States. And then how she explained how the competition worked, and her little demonstration was pretty cool. And it was kind of intimidating at first, so I'm not trying to mess with her. And I think the images, they worked pretty well. It kind of gave me an idea of what she was talking about. So overall, I thought, pretty good presentation.
Okay. Yeah, I think the introduction is really effective, and we've got a clear idea what the subject is. The exact goal, I think, needed to be a little bit more specific. I thought there was an okay layout of what the secondary structure was going to be. As you got to each of those points, sometimes I felt like you introduced the idea and started talking about it, and then the next thing I know, we're on to another subject. It really felt abbreviated at times. Like the historical information, apparently it was created in Korea, and that's about as much as we get, you know. We've got, you know, it appeared and existed, and then it wasn't until later that the rest of the world took notice. And that just felt like it was underdone there. The same thing with the differences between the competitions in the U.S. and in Korea. I got the quick description of some of the equipment and of the scoring systems. What I wanted to know is, we've got those differences now. You mentioned the Olympics, and then that came up. I said, okay, so which style did they use? Which system did they use for scoring? How do those competitions work? It seemed like there was that sort of thing that there needed to be a little bit more follow-through on some of the supporting points. So it often felt like you got to the supporting point, you presented some key information, but we didn't finish off. There needed to be more to each of those stories that you were going through there. I heard source citation in the first section, but I didn't hear really a lot of source citations later on in the speech. I did think that the visuals were pretty effective at helping to organize information and introduce a couple of concepts, and I would never want to be a referee. You know, getting sucker. You know, it's one thing to be sucker punched, it's another thing to be sucker kicked. You know, that just seems like it's wrong. You know, and like you said, he's banned from international competitions. I thought that was a nice dramatic image that you had there. You've got lots of energy in your presentation, enthusiasm. One of the things that was, here's a good example about something that seems a little incomplete. You do a great demonstration, we get to see all of those movements, and I'm wondering, okay, now, how does anybody score that? Is there something that I should be looking for? Is there a series of standard moves that you go through? It's really interesting to look at, but what am I supposed to get out of it? And that's the thing that I thought was missing there. And there are a lot of those things. Like I said, you've got part of something in every section, but it often feels a little incomplete, like we're seeing one side and not the other. And I don't know if the way to fix it would be to edit it and stick to 2 or 3 fewer things and then complete those more, or if it might be to you know, add substantially more to each of those points. You did have a little bit of time left, but not a lot. So, you know, it was pretty close to being the time that you're supposed to be speaking on. All the presentation stuff was really solid, like I said, and I liked the summary at the end, too.